Well, alright, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. You made it, it's Friday. I was gonna play the telly, and the gold top was just like, you good, bro? And then, obviously I'm sitting here playing the gold top. I do what the guitarists tell me to do. So, we're talking about something important that I get asked about a lot. And just a heads up, my beginner guitar course, the Rock and Roll Boot Camp, that will be available tomorrow for 1 week, and then I'll post a video about it, and you'll see me blabbing about it. But if anybody's interested in checking that out, that will be available for 1 week. I'm gonna quit talking now and get to the rockin'. Alright, so let's dive on into this one. Now, what we're talking about a problem that a lot of guitar players have, and this is just something that all players go through. But it's once you learn something, it's like, what do you do with it? Like, what's the point of it? And what happens is, sometimes we forget to really pay attention to what we're learning. Or sometimes it's even subconsciously, we learn it and we don't even realize that we've learned something new. But sometimes you need to focus on more than just the notes that you're playing. It's about the way that they're being played. If you're learning stuff from Joe Walsh, Jimmy Page, Eddie Van Halen, Nuno Bettencourt, Warren DeMartini, any of these guys, they all are incredibly dynamic, but they also are dynamic in just the way the note is being played itself. Like, not just like, oh, they're picking, they're not, they're hammering on, all that kind of stuff. It's just the whole layout. So when you learn that kind of stuff, it ties into what we're doing. So what I'm going to show you is a simple blues shuffle. A lot of you guys probably already know this, but what we're going to do with it is going to be more complex. I challenge you to come up with 10 different ways to play the same thing. So what we're doing is this. Everybody knows that. Like I said, this lesson is probably more beginner and intermediate level, but everyone knows that. Okay? So it's like, now is where you take all the experiences to try to make this different. Think about how many amazing riffs have been written around that, but they don't play it like that. There's been multiple times I've been learning a Jimmy Page riff, I'm like, he's just doing a blues shuffle, but it's like in the coolest way possible. So let's start by, like I said, maybe you play it all open. Okay, well, already one thing that you've probably learned is palm muting. This changes stuff pretty drastically. Drastically? Woo, making up words, making up riffs and making up words. Okay, it's like, okay, well, I don't want it all muted. Maybe I'll only mute the first two and have that last one as more of an accent. I'm kind of getting somewhere. And it's like, well, why do I have to play the notes? And I'm just going to kind of like throw out my ideas. And like I said, use your own ideas to challenge yourself. I'm like, okay, well, why do I need to, play the notes together all the time? Oh, I don't have to do that. Let's, play them separate. Sorry, adding a little bit there out of habit. But already I'm like, oh, okay, well that sounds a lot different. But that, obviously I'm changing the rhythm as well, that can that impacts it. But already it's like the delivery of the note is very, very different. I'm like, okay, it's not all together, it's not, chordal anymore, it's... Even doing that, that's... Already, boom. It's starting to sound a lot different. Now, like I said, this is just stuff that you want to apply into any riff. You don't have to be doing this blues shuffle. Blues shuffle's been done 1.5 million times, and then it'll probably be done 1.5 billion more times after that. This is just a great building block to start testing ideas and to challenge yourself to think creatively. I think that's part of the practice side that sometimes gets left out is, we were playing all these licks or playing all these riffs, playing all these phrases. But are we really mentally looking at what we're doing and challenging ourselves to be more creative versus just learning, the other stuff? Like, use what you've learned to create your own idea with it. So for me, I'm thinking, okay, I love bendy riffs. Like that's kind of like my bread and butter. I love a good riff that has like a bend in it. So I'm like, okay, what if I, instead of playing this note, going straight to, what if I bent to it? So, same thing as if I went like that. whole different vibe. It sounds different. At least to me, it sounds different. I can get more pagey with it if I go to the middle. And then let's just kind of keep thinking about it. It's like, okay, so now I've used palm muting, playing notes separately, bending the strings. What if I, I slid to a note instead of bending it or picking it? I guess I'm adding a D note in there just to get that extra note in there. But now the riff is really starting to sound more interesting. It doesn't, to me, it starts to not even sound like that same old blues shuffle that we've been doing. Like, it started out as this, or whatever rhythm I played it at. But now, like I said, I'm just focused on being creatively challenging with the notes. Sometimes when you give yourself limited parameters to kind of like function within, it forces you into more creative ways. Instead of, like I said, this is really what happens a lot of times when people learn scales. They get option paralysis. They get so overloaded, like, I could do this or this or this, and it's like, no. This is all we have. This is it. So you gotta make the most, make a little bit into a big thing. So I'm maybe it's all bending, What's another thing we could do? Well, we could sit there and we could do hammer-ons. Again, different than if I picked it all. Very different, actually. So already you can see it's like, okay, so now I'm challenging myself. Now this is the same kind of stuff you can do by challenging yourself to play solos. It's like, what are different ways to make it? A lot of times my favorite players all have these little quirky things that they do that really make their playing jump out to you. If you think about Eddie Van Halen, one of the things that always jumped out to me, and it's something else like what I also like about Jimmy Page, their use of overbends. Like think of like the "You Really Got Me" solo. He's like, all those crazy bending. Like Eddie does those overbends all the time, and it's such a cool sound. But it's also like a goofy sound. It's kind of like an ugly one. Same with like Angus doing his little. All those notes don't necessarily sound good against what they're doing, but it rhythmically makes sense, and it just has a certain vibe and sound to it. Or you listen to someone like Greg Koch or something, like I've stolen a lot of stuff from him. Like, there's no reason why guitar it can't sound good, can't be in tune, and it can't just be fun. There's no reason why it can't be all those things. And sometimes fun outweighs whatever the better note choice is. So I have that. Now, then I kind of like naturally start incorporating a little bit of the scale. But already, I hope that kind of opens that up a little bit for you here. Just like I said, challenge yourself. I think it's more powerful if I don't show you, like, play this note for note right here. The finger goes here. It's like, no. If you know the shuffle, sit there and be like, okay, what was he doing? He's talking about sliding, but maybe you slide up to, like, another note. Already, I'm like, now. And the cool thing about these shuffles is, of course, then you can just move it down. Hopefully that lesson was helpful for you guys. This is just the stuff that I do. A lot of times, even, I'll show you real quick before I go. Sorry, the video is probably long and blabby, but I do this a lot. Still today, I challenge myself to find ways to navigate through a scale. Sometimes not without a backing track. Like, I just sit here and just be like, okay, how can I get through the pentatonic scale? I'll show you one that I just came up with myself, using a little bit more of with the blues scale and some passing tones. But it goes like this. Something along found those lines. I was just kind of like, I just like the rhythm of it. Do-do-do. Okay, see, even just now I just figured that note out. So already I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. It's got a nice little vibe to it. I'm utilizing that flat 5 a lot. So there you have it. So on that, guys, hope you're all having a great Friday. Like I said, Rock and Roll Boot Camp will be available tomorrow if you want to support the channel. And other than that, guys, just have a great weekend. I'll see you live. I'll be live tomorrow night. And other than that, I'm just going to lay down some rhythm for you. I'll play that shuffle that we were just kind of working on together. And, just jam out in the key of A. So I'll see you guys later. Bye, homies.